Hello, good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Yeah, we'll wait until other students join. Let me share the slides today. Okay, so what we started yesterday, it is a new, that is teaching English as a second language or English language education. So this is first unit, language, literature and aesthetic. And there were many subtopics. What I have bolded in red color, we completed yesterday. Okay, so here what I have type in red color, they were covered yesterday. Okay, so today we have to cover the remaining topics, starting with media. Shall we start with media? So if I do, what we talk is how we can use different form of literature for second language teaching. How we use different form of poetry when we teach second language. Okay, that's what we discussed. Okay, today we are going to study how media is playing a role in language teaching and how translation is playing a role in language teaching. Okay, first we'll go to media. Yeah, quickly read. Okay, did you finish reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll see media. Today, the significance of media is undeniable. Okay, so we all have to accept media is playing a major role today. It is the newest type of literature that has been defined and takes a form of distinct genre in literature. Okay, so media is the novel form of literature, genre in literature. Media plays a significant role in keeping everyone updated about the various events around the world. So nowadays in Sri Lanka, when we think about Sri Lankan context, the election is coming very closer, the 21st, the coming Saturday. But nowadays, media is playing a major role. Social media, television channels, radio channels. Today, we can check out the latest news and current affairs with just few clicks of mouse or by simply switching on to radio or television, apart from glancing at the newspaper every morning. In the past, most popular way of getting information is reading newspapers. But now we have lots of options which come under media for that. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. We have many more to cover. Did you finish reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Media, media is the plural form of medium. Okay, that is grammatically. And it involves the collective communication sources or mediums, including television, radio, newspaper, internet, social media sites, and various relevant sites and blogs. Okay, so under the term media, there are many more sources coming. The main purpose of media is to disseminate, that means to distribute the information and knowledge. So that is the role played by media, the distribution of knowledge. Here you can see
Okay, ma'am.
the categorization was created to encompass the many new and important kinds of text in one society today, such as movies and films, then websites, commercials, billboards. So now these billboards are very much abandoned in big cities. The billboards are very huge screens where they can put advertisements and all those things. So then even videos can be played in these billboards. In big cities, these billboards are very common. And radio programs. There are lots of sources coming under media. any work that doesn't exist primarily as a written text can probably be considered media, particularly if it relies on recently developed technologies. Okay, so then most of the media we talk today, they have been recently developed. Media literature can serve a wide variety of purposes. Among other things, it can educate, entertain, advertise, and or persuade. Okay, so the media is playing a major role, and media helps different areas, among them to educate. In the field of education, media is playing a major role. In the field of entertainment, advertisement, and persuading. So, because of media, we are tempted to buy certain things or to do certain things.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So then a large amount of literature today is being produced digitally in India. Even though the term India is there, it can refer to the whole Asian continent, even in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, equal amount of intellectual and creative process. Thus, under the category of media, all such creation can be placed. Okay, and as we discussed earlier, under the term media, there are many sources. More and more educators are coming to recognize the importance of teaching media in the classroom. Okay, so because of all these things, uh, it has been decided the importance of teaching media in the classroom. Even in Sri Lanka, when students are selecting subjects for their A levels, so media is a subject. Students are likely to be exposed to far more of this type of literature than anything else throughout their lives. So it makes sense to teach them how to be critical, active consumers of media. Okay, so here under media, what is expected to be taught is actually, so under media, the teachers want to teach students how to be critical and active consumers of media. So media is sometimes dangerous because media misleads people. But here under media at school level, we should teach students how to be critical and active consumers of media. Okay, so you have to be an active consumer, not a passive one. Okay, shall I change the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Internet literacy is a growing field. For example, since the skills required to understand and use online information differ in important ways from the skills required to analyze printed information. Okay, the printed information and online information, they are different. They differ because of the skills needed to analyze them. How we should analyze online information is different from how we analyze printed information. Printed in the sense books, magazines. Teaching media literacy is also a great way for educators to help students become participants in their own culture. Okay, so as a teacher, if you allow your students or to become participants in their own culture, if you want to make them a participant of their own culture, teaching media is the way. Teaching media literacy is also a great way for educators to help students to become participants in their culture through lessons on creating their own websites or home movies or commercials. Okay, we can ask students to use any media they like and talk about their culture. Okay, so then in Sri Lanka, even though this is not very common, in developed countries, actually, media is nicely used to teach languages. And it's very, very useful. The students are having blogs. They can communicate in those blogs. They can type something and put in there. Okay, so media is playing a major role. Okay, now by this time we have spoken about literature. Then what else we discuss? Literature, media. So then now we are going to check how these things, literature, these things separately, we are looking at separately, how these things uh, are very much important in school curriculum. In other words, the importance of uh, inserting literature in school curriculum, the importance of inserting media in school curriculum. Okay, that's what we are going to study. So initially we discussed what literature is. Now we are going to study objectives, needs, and relevance of putting literature in the school curriculum. Check whether it is clear. So we learned about poetry, types of poetry. We learned about process and then types of process, fiction, non-fiction. Then we talk about drama, then again about non-fiction like that. So now we are going to know the objectives, need and relevance of using literature in the school curriculum. Are you clear where we are?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Reading literature is generally included in the language curricula of both primary and secondary education. Okay, when we analyze primary and secondary education, then you can see literature is or literature has been included in the language curricula. Curricula is the plural. Curriculum, curricula. So in language syllabus, reading literature is generally included. It is specially part of the language of school education. Okay, so then reading literature is there under both primary and secondary education. That is under the language teaching. See this.
Okay, ma'am.
Hi, okay. Objectives of teaching literature in school curriculum. So earlier, from the earlier slide, we got to know literature has been included in primary and secondary education in the curricula. So now we are going to study the objectives of teaching literature in school curriculum. So there are four basic competences of any language, that is listening, speaking, reading, writing. Catering to development of all these abilities, different genres of literature are kept. So then all these four skills should improve. The aim concerning literature in English curriculum are to enable learners to, and these things, see what they do. Okay, the school curriculum is incomplete without sufficient scope to teaching of different form of literature. Okay, so then people think school curriculum is useless if it does not have different form of literature. Okay, so then you have seen even in Sri Lanka, when we see government English textbooks, inside the lesson, series of lessons, there are poetry, there are stories, there are dramas, it's like that, there are proses, because without literature, curriculum is not completed. Read this also.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And need and relevance. Most people assume literature is an important part of education. Okay, that is understood. But not everyone really thinks about what that is. So we know literature is important, but we don't know how it is important. The importance of literature on teaching lies in its ability to foster critical reading, build valuable skills, and expand students' worldviews. Okay, that is how it becomes important in the field of teaching, uh, education. So they are foster. Foster means improve, develop critical reading of students, build valuable skills, and expand students' worldviews. Literature is a branch of knowledge in the human society. There are numerous justifications on indispensability of literature in school curriculum. Indispensability means without that we can't do anything. It should be there. Following are some of the important justification in defense of teaching of literature in the school curriculum. Okay, we'll see what they are, the importance of literature in school curriculum. Okay, see them.
Finish, madam.
Yes, it is an established fact that today English and its literature of different forms are studied in school across the world. Okay, so across the world, everywhere in the world, literature of different forms. That means poems, short stories, drama, prose are studied in school curriculum, are studied in schools. Owing to the fact that literature is part of the curricula in schools, tests and examinations are done in it. Okay, so it is a part of school curriculum and different tests are and examinations are conducted to check the knowledge about it, literature. It is also a fact that human beings are storehouse of different emotions and feelings which are beautifully portrayed in literature. Okay, so human beings are very emotional, they have feelings, and all these things are beautifully portrayed in literature. And there is a saying, literature mirrors life. Okay, just understand the theme, literature mirrors life. Literature means nothing else. Literature is about our lives. Does it become a field of human endeavor is so important that it is one of the few disciplines for which the prestigious Nobel Prize is awarded yearly. If it is said how important literature is, even there is a Nobel Prize awarded yearly for literature. Okay? A Nobel Prize for literature. Just like that, there are awards given to literature. We'll go.
Okay, madam.
Okay, the study of literature makes one's intellectual horizons broaden as one learns more about individual and societal experiences, aspirations, fears, joy, and pain of people. Okay, so when students are learning literature, their intellectual horizons will be broadened. They will be more intelligent. For example, the play, the novel, not the play, the novel Things Fall Apart. And some of you might have done this by Nigerian writer Chinua Achebe. And it deals with the clash of African culture and the European culture during the onset of colonialism in Africa. Okay. So, when you read the novel Things Fall Apart, you can get a nice idea about the clash between African tribal culture and the European culture. Okay, so, after reading the novel, Chinua, it's a novel. After reading this novel, your knowledge will be broadened. We'll see some more.
Okay, madam.
Yes, it is also true that language is one important media for communication of culture to coming generation. Okay, using a language only, we are passing the culture from generation to generation. Through literature, the culture of a people is in the as a community sense. Culture of people is preserved. So because of literature, we can preserve the culture. Okay, so when we read Great Expectation, so we can clearly get an idea about the culture at that time. So when we read about some other novel, Pride and Prejudice, we can get an idea about that time. So in that way, culture of people can be preserved because of literature. Therefore, the writing and studying of literary works, examples, poems, plays, short stories, novels, constitute an avenue through which the culture of a people is preserved for future generation. Okay? So, literature is functioning as a method of preserving culture for future generation. Okay, did you understand it? Is it clear?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so these are just the stories you have to listen.
Okay, madam.
Yes, there is need. There is need to develop linguistic abilities among students through literature. Okay, so when we think about second language learning, so we can improve linguistic abilities of students through literature. Language and literature go hand in hand. So there is a very close relationship between language and literature. It is an indisputable fact that the beauty of a language can be seen in the literature written in it. The beauty of a language can be seen in the literature of that language. This is true because language is creatively and beautifully used in the creation, production of literary works. Besides, reading literary works helps individuals to sharpen their language skills. Okay? In simple way, regarding all the literary creations, language is there. So without a language, literature cannot exist. Okay, that you all will understand. So the richness of a language is visible in the literature of that language. So in Sri Lanka, Sinhalese, even Tamils, Muslims, they were having a very standard literature, standard language that is visible in their literary creation. If we think about Sinhalese literature, Mahavansa, Sadharma Ratnavali. There were books written in Dabadeni, Kurunegala eras, and even Kotte era, Sandesha Kavya. So, all these things will show the richness of a particular language. Okay, therefore, the component of literature is inseparable from the school curriculum and should be continued at all levels. Okay, so literature cannot be separated from school curriculum. It should be there in school curriculum. So in Sri Lanka, I don't know whether you are aware, there was a time that the educated people, they did not value literature. So if you get a chance, if you go through ancient, I mean the textbook in the past, long time ago, they consisted of so many literary things. Okay, so then those things were rejected as traditional old things by the new generation, but actually they were with the meaning. So literature should never be separated from school curriculum. We should teach small children literature. Then only they will be very aesthetic type of people. Otherwise, they will be very mechanical. It should also form as essential component of higher education curriculum. Even when they go to higher education, they are also in the curriculum. The literature should be included. Then we can have a generation with emotions, generations with sympathy, empathy, and all these things. Okay, we'll go further. Okay, just to make it more clear, I will type it here, read literature.
Online class.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, having a large and wide-ranging vocabulary is essential in for number of reasons. Okay, so no, English language is the second language in Sri Lanka. So just to deal in English language well, we need a big vocabulary. So then most of the students are having lots of issues when it comes to English language. Some of them, most of them, they can't talk. Most of them, they can't write, read. Okay. The reason for that is they don't have a very good vocabulary. So it helps with both writing and reading ability. So if you are having a very good vocabulary, your writing will be best and your reading will be superb, of course. But it also allows for more complex discourse. Even when if you are having a good vocabulary, you can be a nice speaker in English. The larger your vocabulary is, the more in-depth and thoughtful discussion you can have on important topics and issues, both in and outside of the classroom. Okay, so if you are having a very good vocabulary, you can go for meaningful, thoughtful discussions. Otherwise, you can't take part in them because you will stuck in expressing your ideas. When people speak, they tend to use a fairly limited vocabulary. So the best way to become exposed to new words is to read literature. Okay? by reading literature, that means reading poems, short stories, proses, novels, you can improve your vocabulary. Okay, one way of improving your vocabulary is reading literature. And there are other advantages of reading literature. But one is improving vocabulary. Okay.
Okay, madam.
Yes. We see, and reading literature is a great way to build and enhance vocabulary. So I told you it early. Due to the descriptive nature of a story, any novel will include plenty of words students have likely never seen or heard before. So just start reading a novel. So now you are adult learners, you have a good vocabulary. But still, if you start reading a novel, you just see how many new words you will come across, and some of the words you have never seen before. Then see those words in context, learning their meanings passively rather than having to drill. Okay, so when you are reading literature, you are learning words with the meaning, actual meaning. It's not like dictation. And you know what dictation is? So using dictation also we can improve our vocabulary. But dictation is very artificial. We will learn the word, but we will not learn it with the real meaning. And because they are reading story and not drilling, they probably won't even realize they are building their vocabulary. So actually what will happen when we read literature, we don't know it develop our vocabulary. It happens automatically. Without our knowledge, when we read literature, our vocabulary gets improved. Okay, did you understand it? Okay. We'll go to the next one.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Here we see enrichment of writing skill. So earlier we got to know when we read literature, we can improve our vocabulary. Other one is enrichment of writing skills. Writing skills can be taught to some extent. Okay, so in certain curriculums, we know there is a particular subject called writing skill. But teaching writing skill is limited. So we can teach a person how to write to a certain extent only. But the number one way to become a better writer is to read often. But the best way to become a good writer is to be a good reader. When you read, you are being immersed in language, in the way it sounds and feels when put together in the right ways. Okay, so when you are reading, you will be better in your grammar, and you will get to know how ideas are expressed. Students who are encouraged to read have a more intimate knowledge of the ways in which language works, and so have an advantage when it comes time for them to write. Okay, so then the researchers, they have proven this. The most of the students who write nicely, they are the students who read a lot. Literature serves as a valuable teacher and an example to students who are first learning to use written language to communicate with the world. Okay, so literature acts as a teacher to teach students how to write. Okay, that is how it is happening. We'll go to the next one. Did you hear what I talk?
Yes, madam.
I thought you did not hear because I felt it was muted. Okay, you read.
Finish, madam.
Okay, we'll see. Teaching critical thinking. Okay, so critical thinking is also an important thing in education. Critical thinking is highly important. Education, some noises are coming, we'll see. Mute. Kanchana, oh Kanchana Kurupu. Yeah, you better mute it. We are hearing some additional voices, disturbing voices. Education is supposed to give students the tools they need to become a valuable part of society. And one such tool is the ability to think critically. Okay? So education means not just giving knowledge. Okay, one of the target of education is to make a person a critical person. Okay, so if a person cannot think critically, so there is a weak point in education. We want them to not just passively consume whatever is around them, okay, but to analyze and criticize it as well. Okay, most of the people, most of the students today, they passively in the sense without being active, they consume whatever is around them. As a result, they fall into troubles. Okay, so they just passively welcome everything around them. But actually we need students who can analyze and criticize and decide what is correct. Literature serves this goal in a couple of ways. Okay, if a student is reading literature, that students will automatically get critical thinking ability. Many novels encourage critical thinking on their own due to the issues and themes uh, uh, they explore. Themes, sorry. Due to the issues and themes they explore. Okay, so when students are reading a novel, they come across lots of issues and they can see how characters are facing them and how characters are resolving them. And then students will get to know the themes of a novel. Okay? So their critical thinking will automatically enhance. The kind of novel usually taught in the classroom is selected for its depth and for the way it transcends the obvious and the cliche. Okay, so then selection of novel is also very important in this sense. Okay, because the proper novel should be selected by the teacher, then only the above purpose will be achieved. Okay, the critical thinking. Okay, read this part also. Okay, did you finish reading? Okay. And educators often use literature to promote this kind of thought actively by teaching students how to analyze what they read, understand others' opinions about the text, and formulate their own views. You can learn to think critically about the events and characters in a novel. The themes in it presents, the author's purpose in writing it, and the ways it fits into a certain time period. You can analyze it's going like this. Okay, so I will remove that part. Okay, otherwise. Okay, from this now you can understand how literature helps education. What is this? We'll see the role and So now you can remember, don't get confused. We talk about literature, poems, prose, drama, like that. Okay. So then we talk about media. Up to now we talk about
Kamu,
how
kamu, kamu, Ammu.
Kanchana. Oh, Kanchana. Ayo, you are really disturbing. If you join online lecture, you have to be here or else see how irresponsible the people are. Yeah, I am telling, yeah, some students are requesting. Yeah, so then unless you talk something important, you can mute your microphone. And the problem with this girl or boy, I don't know, Kanchana Kurupo, Kanchana Kurupo, I don't think that the person is here now. She or he has just joined. Okay. So then our concentration, it will also break down because of this. See now how calm it is. Okay, so I was telling you under this lesson, we were talking about literature first. And now we finished discussing how literature plays a major role in language learning. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I explained a lot, but when you do your own summary, you can write down, note down some of them. So after talking about literature, can you remember today we started with media? Okay. So now we are going to talk about role and relevance of media in school curriculum. Okay, now we did this with literature. Now we are going to discuss about the interconnection or else the relationship between media in and the school curriculum. Yeah, just read. These lessons are with lots of information. Otherwise, it's not with theories. It's easy. Only thing you have to get the ideas into your mind.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, media studies as subject has entered the boundaries of school little late, but at last. Okay, so recently, media studies came into school curriculum as a subject. But according to this description, actually, it should have entered into the school curriculum long time ago. Anyhow, at last, it came. Disregarding media from the school curriculum has always bothered many experts who are working in the field of media studies. Okay, they wanted to put this as a subject in school curriculum. Is this message? I don't have an idea about LMS material. So is it that book-like thing? Yeah, make me aware of it. One student is asking, Madam, for the final exam, should we need to refer the both LMS materials and this presentation? Or else it is enough to refer to your presentation. Okay, what do you mean by LMS material? It is a PDF document just like a book. Is that so?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. It's a book which contains different chapters and paragraphs about this subject. Is it? I have no idea about it, but I feel if you refer to what I am sharing, that will be sufficient. Because most probably I will be the person who is setting the question. Okay. Disregarding media from the school curriculum has always bothered many experts who are many initiatives were started to introduce children, parents, and teachers to the concept of media studies, but all happen out of school. One of the key points made by the NCF 25, that is connecting knowledge to the life outside the school, has actually opened the door for media studies, a subject which has never in the past was given in its due importance in school curriculum. Okay, this is about the history, how media studies came into school curriculum. It is a result of a long journey. Okay, at last it came to the school curriculum. See.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. It was realized that students' media experiences are as important as their experience with their parents, peers, and teachers. And by allowing them to bring their media experiences in classroom, a creative environment can be created when they could get a chance to discuss issues which are very integral to their life. Media is a very important part of students' life. Okay, so then I have to tell you this. So some of the things which we are learning here, you may feel they are not practical in Sri Lanka. That's correct. I agree with you. Because these syllabus, they have been prepared in foreign countries. Okay, so you are doing a degree attached to some other university outside Sri Lanka. So it's everywhere. So I am also teaching at many places. It's like that. Okay, so we are learning what should happen in the field of education. But at the same time, you should have the understanding what should happen in the education is not happening in Sri Lankan education. Can you understand what I am telling? So just to practice all these things, there should be a nice environment. Okay, so in Sri Lanka still, the parents, teachers, the society, we are afraid of making students familiar with media. Okay, so we don't like our students to be in FB. or Instagram, the school children. So we consider it is a waste of time. But in developed countries, even the social media, they are well used for education. That you have to understand. I don't know whether you have assignments or not. You have to ask it from the management. Okay, I am answering one question. Okay, we'll go.
Okay, madam.
Okay. They spend great deal of time watching TV, listening to radio, surfing net, reading magazines and newspapers, and also take pride in or owning a sophisticated toy called mobile phone, which gives them an opportunity to do all these activities when they are on move. Okay, so when you read this sentence, you can understand these things are not practically happening in Sri Lanka. Okay, so see how it is mentioned. Yes, wait. And also take pride in owning a sophisticated toy called mobile phone. But in Sri Lanka, mobile phone is not considered as a sophisticated toy by parents or by teachers. These medium bombard them with images, words, and sounds. Actually, the mobile phone is a nice equipment to learn language. And as adults, I know you all are having smartphones, but you just think how many of you are using it to improve your language ability. These media messages are designed to win their heart and rule their mind. Students are also learning a lot from media. Mass media teach whether or not media makers intend to do so, and students learn from it whether they are aware of it or not. Okay, sometimes what is on media, they were not meant for education, but still the students and teachers can make use of what is on media to improve language. Okay, sometimes what is on media may be with the purpose of earning money, but we can make use of them to improve language. Okay, we'll go.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, students are learning so much intentionally or unintentionally that It can be termed as omnipresent non-school textbook. Okay, so then when we think of media, so that is omnipresent. What is the meaning of omnipresent? Available at any place. So today media is available at any place. So that is the meaning of omnipresent non-school textbook. So media is just like a non-school textbook. In fact, children learn in variety of ways through experience, making and doing things, experimentation, reading, discussion, asking, listening, thinking, reflecting, and expressing themselves in speech, writing, and in movement. There are different ways students learn. They require opportunities for all these kind in the course of their development. The source through which they learn are innumerable. It is necessary for educators to explore and understand all those sources through which children learn. Okay, that is the opinion of this person, Yada. Okay, so he expressed this idea in 2011. Okay, so then there are different ways students improve their language skill. One such way is, according to this definition I am telling, one such way is using media. Okay, so we should allow them to use media to improve their language. Once again, it is a question in Sri Lanka. Okay, sorry. Yeah, here. Okay, in this slide, you can see computer-based cognitive tools are there. So they also come under mass media. So computer also can be used as a media to improve language skill. So here there are lots of things mentioned. Examples of cognitive tools include databases, spreadsheets, semantic networks, expert system, communication software, okay, such as teleconferencing programs, online collaborative knowledge, and many more. But again, the same question. Okay, so I am also preparing these lessons with a document given by your institute. I don't know whether the same thing is there in LMS. I have no idea, but it's a book. And then I feel some of the things in that book that is too much, and then some are not practical. But so reading that book and adding something from my side, I am preparing these slides. Okay, so here once again I have the problem in Sri Lanka. The computer usage in school level, I don't know, you may know the situation better than me. So that is why still even in the field of politics, supplying computer, some computer equipment, it has been a way of getting votes also. So you can understand the situation. Okay, but in foreign countries, all the students are having their own computers at school. So they are having access to internet. So in Sri Lanka, not only students, even teachers, school management, they also don't have access to internet. They have access to internet using their own smartphone. That is something else. Okay, so those issues are there. Otherwise, computer can be used very nicely to improve language skills. Okay, so there are new subjects coming to the field of education as computer assisted language learning, technology assisted language learning. Okay, they are really good if we can use. Okay, we'll go further. Okay, so now we came to the end of that section also. Okay, so we got to know media is also playing a major role in language improvement. Okay, so media is not an enemy, it's a friend, it's a teacher which we can use to help language learning. But there are lots of practical issues of using media in the process of language learning in countries like Sri Lanka. Okay, even though we do not have it in Sri Lanka, we should know in other countries of the world, they use media to improve language skill. Is that clear?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now we are going to move to a different area. Before going to that, if you have any questions regarding literature and media, that means how literature and media are going to improve language skill. Now you can discuss this. Discuss that. Okay. Then after the discussion, we can move to the next area in the syllabus, in the topic translation. Okay, in other words, tell me whether you are clear how literature can be used to improve language skill and how media can be used to improve language skill. If you answer that question, I can go to the other part. I'm asking whether it is clear or not.
Clear, ma'am. For us, clear, ma'am.
Hari, okay, very good. I know the lesson is very lengthy. I am always asking my students wherever they are. I will share this slide with you. I hope the earlier slide also you got. Okay, so I am sharing it in PDF format so that if you need, you can go for a printout very easily. Okay, so when you, after getting it, you need to have a summary. Okay, so then when your exam is coming closer, you can't read all the stuff. So you better have your own summary. When you are preparing the summary, there are many more things you can exclude from this presentation. Okay, get what is most important and ignore the other things. Okay, we'll go to the next part. Translation. Importance and need translation as a creative activity. So that is how it is in the syllabus. Okay, you read.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
During the examination,
Yeah.
just referring you are this slides notes is enough, no, ma'am, for the exam.
Enough. Yes, even I feel the same. Because if you read what is on your LMS, you can improve your knowledge. If you have time, you read it. I am not asking you not to read it. Okay, but I personally feel you can manage the exam with this note also. Okay.
Amen.
Okay, here we'll see translation is the process of transferring meaning from one language to another. Okay, you know what translation is. Here we are referring to transferring meaning from one language to another. It involves more than just word for word substitution. Sometimes you might have seen Google Translation, and there are some translation apps. When we translate certain things, it looks very funny because it's not transferring meaning from one language to another. Just word to word translation, it's wrong. It should be transferring meaning from one language to another. It requires understanding the nuances, cultural context, and intended meaning of the original text. Okay, after translation, okay, we'll see one stuff is in English, another stuff is in Tamil or Sinhala. Okay, both these, we will just imagine one person is reading the English one, the other one is reading the Sinhala or Tamil one. Okay, so the ideas understood by these both persons should be the same. Okay, only the language difference. We'll go further. Types of translation.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Types of translation. There are different types of translation. Literary translation. And that means translating literary works like novels, poems, or dramas. Okay. Then technical translation. Translating specialized texts such as legal documents, scientific papers, or medical manuals. Okay. Technical translation. Then legal translation is they are translating legal documents like contracts, patents, or court transcripts. Then medical translation, translating medical texts like prescriptions, patient records, or clinical trials. Then business translation, that is also there, translating business documents like marketing materials, financial reports, or contracts. Okay, you are aware of these translations are there, that is sufficient. And translation is not an easy task as we think. There are challenges for translation. See what they are.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, madam.
Okay, we see cultural differences. Different cultures have different ways of expressing ideas, which can make translation challenging. Okay, so there are cultural differences. When a literary text or when a document in one culture is translated to another culture, it may be challenging. We'll see, for an example, Western culture. In English culture, certain things are written very lightly. For an example, we'll say certain sexual things, then we can understand very easily. Okay, so it's not something people used to talk secretly in Western world. But when such a novel or a story is translated to another culture which consider sexual things as taboos, that will be a problem. Then idiomatic expressions, idioms and colloquialism can be difficult to translate accurately. So we can translate certain things, but there are certain things which are just like colloquial terms or idioms. Idioms, they differ from one culture to another culture, and there are some cultural specific idioms. So we don't know how to translate them to another culture. If I give you some examples, I have to bring Sinhalese examples. There are Muslims, I don't know Tamil language. For an example, Datak Galavanava. I don't know whether you have heard of it. So normally they say, Eamage Datak Gelewada Kantimedi. So that means he had something to eat, but the money was paid by the other person or something like that. Okay, but how can we translate this into another language? So if a book is in Sinhala, when we translate it into English, it's a bit challenging. Did you get an idea from my example?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just like that. And then technical terminology. Specialized terms can be difficult to translate without a deep understanding of the subject matter. Okay, so in medical translation, legal translation, so it's very difficult to find certain technical equivalents in another language. Okay, so those problems are there. They are actually challenges. Okay, this also.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, tools and techniques. Translation memory. It's a software that stores previously translated phrases and sentences, improving efficiency. And most of the things which is available online, translation, it's like that. Translation memory, actually. It's a software. The previously translated phrases and sentences are there. When we feed something new, the memory will search for the equivalent words and it translate the document. And machine translation, that is also related to a software that can automatically translate text, though it often requires human editing to ensure accuracy. So when we get something using machine translation, we have to go through it. Human editing should be there. Then contextual translation, considering the context of the text to ensure accurate translation. Okay, that is done by a human being. So that is the best. Okay, we'll see this. Yeah, read. The importance of translation in second language education. That's what we need to know, basically.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, we'll see. Translation plays a crucial role in second language education for several reasons. Bridging the language gap, understanding new concepts. Translation can help learners understand new concepts and ideas that are unfamiliar in their native language. Okay, so then when we are going for translation, when we translate something from another language to your mother tongue maybe, so you will get to know new concepts. Okay, so sometimes when we read English books with the intention of translating them, so you will get to know new concepts. Or sometimes when you read translation, okay, so for an example, the novels are there, translations. In Sinhala we call parivartana. So when you read them, you will get to know new concepts from outside your culture. Then assessing foreign text. Translation allows learners to access a wide range of text and materials in the target language, expanding their knowledge and horizons. Okay, so then you will have access to foreign text because of translation. And we'll see some more bridging the language gap. Okay, so that there is a language gap between, we'll say, Tamil language and English language. Because of translation, there is a bridge between these two languages. That is the idea of bridging the language gap. So English culture cannot be understood by Tamils or Muslims. Tamil or Muslims culture cannot be understood by British people or the English people. So when the things are translated from English to Tamil, Tamil to English, the gap between these two languages are bridged. Okay, that is what is happening. Next one.
Okay, ma'am.
Facilitating cultural exchange, understanding cultural nuances. Translation can help learners understand the cultural nuances and connotations of the target language, fostering cultural appreciation and empathy. Okay, what is that? How can you understand that? Okay, so translation can help learners understand the cultural nuances. Nuances means differences, and connotations. Connotations means we have given certain meaning to certain expressions. But as I told you, datak galavanava. So datak galavanava, the direct translation is extracting a tooth. But the meaning of that is not exactly that in a particular situation. Okay? Of that target language, fostering cultural appreciation and empathy. Okay, so sometimes certain connotations we cannot understand. I mean, the certain connotations in other culture. So we have to have empathy. You know what empathy? We have to imagine we are a part of that culture and understand it. Okay, as an outsider, you can't understand. Then communicating across cultures. Translation is essential for effective communication and collaboration across cultures. Okay, so because of translation, readers can have a huge cultural understanding. That is very important. So if something called translation is not there, we cannot have this cultural awareness.
Okay, ma'am.
Enhancing language learning. So vocabulary acquisition. A translation can help learners acquire new vocabulary and improve their word knowledge. Okay, so if you are going to translate something, automatically your knowledge, your vocabulary will improve. Grammar and syntax. Translation can reinforce grammar rules and improve learners' understanding of sentence structure. Okay, so when you are translating, for an example, English to Sinhala or Tamil, the syntax, they are different. In English, subject, verb, object. In Tamil and Sinhala, subject, object, verb, or something like that. Then contextual understanding. Translation can help learners understand the context of language use and apply it to their own language learning. Contextual understanding. Contextual understanding means the language use, context of language use. So the same way of language use may differ at different context. Apply it to their own language learning. Okay, how people behave when they are happy, how people express ideas when they are sad, different context.
Okay, madam.
Developing critical thinking, comparing and contrasting. Translation can encourage learners to compare and contrast languages, developing their critical thinking skills. Yeah, okay. So because of translations, learners can compare and contrast two languages, and that will improve their critical thinking skills. Then analyzing cultural differences. Translation can help learners analyze cultural differences and understand how they are reflected in language. Okay, so how language represent Indians, how language represent Americans, Sri Lankans. It's like that. Because we have learned early language and culture, they are inseparable. They are one thing actually.
Okay, ma'am.
Preparing for global citizenship. Intercultural communication. Translation skills are essential for effective intercultural communication in today's globalized world. Okay, so what is the meaning of intercultural communication? Intercultural communications means communication between two cultures or communication among cultures with cultural understanding. So, intercultural communication is an important area of language studies. So, if we do not have a proper understanding about another culture, we can't communicate properly. Because thanks to translation, we can get to know about other cultures and we can communicate interculturally. Then career opportunities, translation skills can open up a wide range of career opportunities in fields such as international business, diplomacy, and tourism. Okay, so in these areas, you know, the translators are playing a major role. That is the end. End of translation, no?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Translation is a valuable tool in second language education. Okay, so because of all these things, we can come to a conclusion that translation is a valuable tool in second language education, helping learners to bridge language gaps, facilitate cultural exchange, enhance language learning, develop critical thinking skills, and prepare for global citizenship. So these are the advantages that learners can get because of translation. Okay, so that is the end of this first lesson. Yeah, but I have prepared some questions here. Sorry, and answers also. We'll see. How does prose differ from poetry? And we have done proses. You can leisurely read it. I will. What is the importance of teaching literature in school curriculum? If you get a question like this, and one of you had asked, I will read the question here. Madam, I have a question to ask. It means for the exam, will you take questions only from these PowerPoint slides? Answer is yes. If I am going to set the paper, I will be setting the question paper based on the lessons which I did with you. That means using these slides. Okay, you just read.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. The importance of literature on teaching lies in its ability to foster critical reading, build valuable skills, and expand students' worldviews. Following are some of the important justification in defense of teaching of literature in school curriculum. See, question is, what is the importance of teaching literature in school curriculum? Okay, you see here. Oh, sorry.
Okay, ma'am.
It is an established fact that today English and its literature of different forms are studied in school across the world. Okay, so that is a normal fact. It is also a fact that human beings are should be there are storehouse of different emotions and feeling which are beautifully portrayed in literature. Human beings should be there. Human beings. Otherwise, I will share the wrong thing with you. Human beings. Okay, so human beings are storehouse of different emotions. That means a nice way of telling things. Human beings are just like warehouses or stores of different emotions. That means we human beings are having different emotions and feelings which are beautifully portrayed in literature. So that's why it is said literature mirrors life. Thus it become a field of human endeavor is so important that it is one of the few disciplines for which the prestigious Nobel Prize is awarded yearly. So this answer has been prepared using the things we discussed. Okay, next.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, you ask questions, yes.
Okay, for that question, no, ma'am. The importance of literature.
Yeah.
For that question, we should write this much of answer, ma'am, in the exam during the exam time.
It depends on the number, the question and the words. This much in the sense, yeah, no. I personally feel it should be more than this. This is just a guidance actually. So this is not at all enough, but I don't know how many words are here. We can count the number of words if we put it on, let me check it. Word document, we can check it. Let me, how many words are there, then I can say whether it is sufficient or not. 1 minute. We'll copy and paste in a Word document, then we can easily find how many words are there. Okay, so then that is just 221 words. Okay, so then I have no idea. So I need to take the past papers actually. If I am supposed to prepare the question paper, I would ask the management to supply with me some past paper questions. And then if there are 4 sub questions for one under one question, this much of answering will be sufficient. If a single question of 10 marks or 20 marks are given for a question like this, then the answer is not sufficient. It's like that.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Harry.
Ma'am, will you do any revisions, ma'am, before the exam?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I will do. Don't worry. But only thing we need to cover the syllabus. It's a lengthy syllabus. We'll try our level best to do it first, and then we can do some revision session. No problem.
Okay, ma'am.
The
Thank you.
last time also we did something just like that. Okay, so then I have prepared. I have inserted another question here. You can leisurely read how media can play an important role in school curriculum. So here it is with the purpose of summarizing what we did. But if you are answering, it should be something lengthier, and you can include many more things we discuss.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Media studies as subject has entered the boundaries of school little late, but this was taken from the things we did. Okay, so there's no need of explaining. It was realized that okay, so you leisurely read, but I will share some answers also with you. The answer is there, but you should read it, and you should have the ability to expand it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so then again, what is the meaning of translation, and discuss its importance as an important human activity. Okay, so leisurely you can read it. Once I share the slide, I will just show you what we started. Okay, so your topic, the very first topic of this syllabus, it was language, literature, and aesthetics. Under that, different creative forms of literature, English language, that means literature, media, and translation. They were the 3 main areas: literature, media, and translation. Okay, what we discussed, it was actually how these 3 areas, literature, media, and translation, helps language studies. Okay, how we can improve language knowledge through literature, media, and translation. That's what we discussed throughout the lesson. Okay, so last week we discussed the first, the red color ones. Today we started discussing the remaining. Are you clear with what we did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will share this slide also with you. So
Okay, ma'am.
we will continue it next week. Shall we wind up the session here?
Okay,
Okay.
madam.
Okay,
Thank
then
you, ma'am.
good night.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Okay, good night.